who's better than Isaiah Thomas under 6 feet? Like, you could put a historical perspective on this.
Yeah, I
who
can.
is?
I did an all little guy team for Basketball Times because of Isaiah this year, and obviously you start with an all little guy being 5'10" and under.
Yeah,
okay?
I like that.
Really little guys, the all little Pushin team, not just the all little guy team, which would have Isaiah Thomas at 6'1" and John Stockton and Nash and all that. They would be Wilt Chamberlain compared to the guys we're talking about.
Right.
Dana Barros, Michael
so much
Adams.
Better. So much better.
Tiny Archibald was 6'1",
Yeah.
Wow. He was misnamed.
He's the best ever.
He projected small, but he was actually. I looked him right in the eye, and I'm 6'1.5".
Yeah.
He was 6'1". So prior to this, Muggsy Bogues, of course, is the gold standard.
So much better.
Muggsy Bogues is 5'3", and he had a tremendous NBA career when you look at it.
But your guy's better.
But this guy
He's the
right
best.
now is doing stuff that we have never seen for the undersized guys in the NBA.
He's the best
ever.
ever.
And then you have to factor in what he's dealing with emotionally. I don't know how he's doing it. I don't even know how he's putting his shoes on, to be honest with you.
Because you know what? This is another example that I love. There's them, capital T, and there's us. Mm-hmm. And you and I, we talk about it. They do it. They're different. They're wired differently. And that's across the board and major sport. There's them and us, and they can handle situations that we could never even imagine.
All right, so let's get into the X's and O's of the series. Obviously, in the first two games, the Wizards had significant leads and couldn't hold them, and. That's the NBA, but that's also the Wizards.
NBA.
That's also the Wizards, Bob, because their defense is horrible. But what can the Wizards do, X's and O's wise, to stop Isaiah Thomas?
I still think the way to beat the Celtics in the playoffs is the way that they lost the last 2 years, is that's make somebody else beat you. They're going to have to. You say there's paying special attention to him. Well, not enough if he can get 53. They're going to have to try to double and triple team him and absolutely try to frustrate him as much as possible and make somebody else beat him. And to me, that's just so elementary, but I don't see another way. They're going to let him run around and do what he does, and the way he's doing it, he's playing at such a high level that they're going to be in trouble. The Celtics is interesting, of course. What an interesting playoffs. They were down 0-2, and then Rondo got hurt. No one even knew Rondo had been hurt in that game. Mm-hmm. Now it's announced after the game Rondo's hurt, and they haven't lost a game since. Now, was it just that? Well, that was certainly big. They were glad to get rid of Rondo the way he was playing, but what happened is not only did they get the benefit of having played with no Rondo, but they have taken full advantage of it, full advantage of it, and they've found their game in general, and now they're feeling really, really good about themselves, and they're playing really as well as they played all year in these 6 games, and they're going to be tough to handle for at least for Washington. I'm not saying they're going to be tough to handle for Cleveland if they get by this series, but they're going to be tough to handle. And one thing they've gotten, by the way, if you take note, is that they're getting a little auxiliary help from different people. The other night, Terry Rozier. We're talking about guys. The beginning of this run, it was because Brad Stevens went to Gerald Green off the bench. Well, Gerald Green, maybe that carrot just turned back into a pumpkin. He hasn't done anything lately, but Gerald Green served his purpose, and now Rozier has helped them, and Olynyk has helped them. So they're getting some good help nightly, not knowing who it's going to be. Jaylen Brown gave him a couple good minutes the other night after he hadn't done much for a long time. So when you get that going for a team, that's always a good sign.
Talking to our good friend Bob Ryan from the Globe up there in Boston. I saw Legler on ESPN yesterday talking about how to defend that ball screen, that high pick and roll, and he's just saying, look, you got to get, if you're John Wall or if you're Bradley Beal or if you're anybody that's guarding him, you got to get below the screen, and if he's going to hit 25-footers all day, so be it.
You can't allow the switch because he's just eating up the big guys.
You can't switch on it. So we'll see if that works.
He's the only big guy. Maybe there's 2 out there that could probably be problematic. One is Gobert. Gobert's amazing. He covers a lot of ground. Rudy Gobert, and the other is Jordan. DeAndre. Those are 2 big guys that aren't phased. But everybody else, he eats up those big guys. He's amazing. Look at what he does. And, he's going left, but he can finish right. His hand. It's not that easy. He's strong. He can take a bump, and he knows how to create the contact to get to the line where he's a 90% guy. He's a package, and you're right. You want to make him beat you hope that it's going to be one of those 3 for 13 3-point nights rather than a 5 for 8 3-point night.
What's amazing, Bob, is his performance totally eclipsed what John Wall did and has been doing throughout the playoffs. You know, we know about John Wall here in D.C., but nationally he's getting more and more attention. What are your impressions of John Wall?
John Wall, I've watched him since he had the year at Kentucky, and I've always been awed by the speed and the explosiveness, and I think he's matured into a great player. And right, he had a very he had an overshadowed 40-point game with how many 13 assists was it? And it's a great matchup. I mean, no, don't worry. I don't think the Celtics aren't starting up every night figuring out with how they're going to try to contain John Wall. And you get out on the open floor, you can't contain him. So no, he's been fine, and it's a great matchup. So if a neutral's watching this series, he or she has to be enjoying watching those two guards go at each other.